Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to episode 19 of Project LS400. For those of you who are new to the channel, please allow me to introduce myself. If you are familiar with me and this project, you can go to this timestamp over here. My name's Arnold and this is my 1994 Lexus LS400 project car, which I have been working on for the last year. I've been working in the automotive industry for the last 20 years. As a technical writer, I've been writing workshop manuals, and I've also worked as a consultant for parts suppliers, car leasing companies and insurance companies. In 2015 I bought my first LS400. I bought that car sight unseen because I was looking for a winter project. And it was a car, it was the cheapest one I could find back then. And the reason it was so cheap, it was in state of neglect. It has a broken air suspension, the engine was leaking, was making weird noises, and there was also a lot of electronic mishaps with the car. I bought that car from a scrapyard, and the wrecker said that he would scrap the car the following day, and he already sold the engine, but I couldn't buy the entire car because it still had a registration, only had to make an offer that was higher than the bid he had on the engine. So out of the blue I made him an offer, it was about 1,500 euros I believe, and I had bought the car. So I had the car towed to my workshop. I had a different workshop back then, and I worked on the car for 6-7 weeks straight, and then it was a beautiful car, inside and out. Everything was running perfect. The most expensive part I had to replace was the rear suspension. It had air suspension, that car. And I drove a car for 4 years and over 30,000 kilometers, I believe, but it worked flawlessly. Unfortunately, in 2019, I had to sell the car for personal reasons. But in 2021, it started itching again. I'd love to have an LS400 again. And in the meantime, I met a friend who had a couple of LS400s, the first, second and third generation. And when I drove one of his cars, especially the first generation one, I fell in love. So what I did, I got online, started looking, and then I bought the cheapest LS400 I could find back in August 2021. That's current project LS400. If you want to know more about this car, I made an episode about it. I'll put a link up above here in the car, and that was episode 2. I did a tour around this car, show the quirks and features and also everything that's wrong with this car. Now I have been working for the last year on this car, and now we landed at episode 19, and it's about time to get the brakes installed. So let's get cracking. Now in the previous episodes I removed the brakes, calipers and the brackets, the rotors. I checked the rotors. The front rotor was good, was as new. I rebuilt the calipers and I painted them, and now I can put them back on. But there's one important thing. There was one remark on the inspection paper that one of the ball joints on the left hand side, front left, had too much play, and I suspect it's the lower control arm ball joint. There's a boot around here. I'll show you in a clip next. It's cracked and grease is leaking, so I'm going to replace that ball joint. So that's what I want to do first, and after I've done that, I want to clean up the wheel well. I check the boots around these ball joints over here. The upper one, the tie rod boot, that's okay. And here is this linkage for the stabilizer bar. Those boots are okay, but I want to clean everything up. And I also loosened this bracket in that line that goes to the wheel speed sensor, and there's a connector on the back here. I want to clean everything so it looks neat. Oh yeah. Let me rotate the camera a bit. I also took off this panel to clean it, and I know this panel is only clipped in place. There are 2 screws in front holding it. You can loosen them and then you can pull off that panel. There is no foam tape or anything behind there. Apparently it doesn't rattle during driving. I never noticed it, but there is a small rub mark over here which went through the paint, so I want to treat that with rust inhibitor. So that's what I have planned for this episode, and well, let's go ahead and try to crack loose those nuts. I brought my calibrated torque wrench. You can see how I've done that in this episode. Alright, let's see if we can get this moving. There it is. I already cracked one for the tie rod end loose. So we can take that off. Tap those out without any problem. Now let me get my lamp. Now I have to determine the correct order of business. What I did, I took the tie rod end off. This is the new one. That goes in here. Here's the ball joint, and this entire assembly is bolted onto the hub assembly, the upright, with two bolts from down below. If I loosen that, I can't move anything. What I want to do is first step the tie rod end out. Then I have this loosened already. It comes with a new nylock nut, I see. That's nice. Want to remove that and try to tap that out of the lower control arm, and then remove those last two remaining bolts. Well, I have the tie rod end out, and not without damaging the boot. I found the old tie rod end of my previous LS, and this is a good one. So I bit the bullet, and I used this spread out tool to start it a bit, and then just smack the thread with a hammer. It was already damaged due to my own mistake. So I'll leave that hanging in there, maintain this lock screw on, and after I have replaced the lower ball joint, I'm gonna put that back in. But man, this was a struggle. That was not a fun job to do. Well, things are escalating quickly in this episode. Now I need to loosen the lower ball joint. I had the castle nut off already. Here are two bolts in the back, and I want to try if I can loosen those bolts and get this entire upright somewhat out of the way. If this upper ball joint allows that much movement. I loosened the nut a bit. This doesn't have to come off. So I already cracked those lower bolts loose. Let's get them out of the way and see if it helps somewhat. If this upright is out of the way. So I can lift this off. There are no brake lines in the way. Alright, that'll hang in there, buddy. So now it's just a matter of taking this one out, and as you can see, and there's pressure from the suspension from the air bladder still on here. So I hope, oh yeah, and you see it's very greasy down there, so this has been leaking, and yeah, it's loose. So basically this is how it's sitting, and you want to put this in between there, the flat side towards the joint. Oh, I need a bigger hammer for that. There it is. So that's the old one out, and here's the new one ready to go back in, but not before we clean everything up in here. So here it is. Now of course you want to think about the next guy. Just assign this task, put in some copper grease, so that poor bugger can get it out and get a car on the road for the next 30 years. There it is. Nice even coat. ball joint really was on its way out. This is actually the old tie rod of my first LS400. I replaced this, but it was unnecessary. This one is good. You can see it's stiff in its motion. Also, I'm gonna apply some copper grease in here. Just spin it on. Can I reach through there? So that's in. Now I do have a castle nut in my pocket, if I'm not mistaken. Just gonna put that on until I find a couple of new ones, so this one doesn't fall off. Alrighty folks, it's the following day and I have been thinking about what my problem was, and the problem was that I put grease on there and it meant that this tapered part couldn't settle in the control arm. When it settles, it locks itself in place and it's harder to rotate, and I needed that friction in order to get a nylon ring in the lock nut to catch. But with grease on there and the nylon ring approaching the upper part, I started rotating the entire ball joint in here. So what I did, I cleaned off all the copper grease I put on there and used the old castle nut to pull the new assembly in, because it's already in. And when I had it entirely pulled in, so that this tapered part was settled, I could just normally put a new lock nut on. So I did that. And also I had to find a new castle nut. There was some same castle nut as this on there. It was pretty hard to find. I smacked the old one on the head. It was on the tie rod end. It was a dumb thing on my part, but live and learn, I guess. So I had to find one of these, and they were pretty hard to find. Problem is, these have fine threads. It's M12 with a 1.25 millimeter pitch, and 1.5 millimeter is normal pitch for M12, I believe. So this is a fine thread, and for the life of me I couldn't find them until I realized that my old Honda moped had the same threads on the axles. So I went ahead and went to the motorbike shop and got me a couple of new castle nuts. I had to shorten this a little bit, but anyway, it's a nice and shiny new bit, so that's going on there. Now, first up are the two bolts that go in here, both of those 117 millimeters. Hey, what gives? Upper ball joint. And there it is. Well, if you know me, and I guess you somehow do, you know I clean all the bolts, and I also clean those nice cotter pins that go in there. Let's see if I can get that one in. Yes, I can. Now, this lower one can be a bit of a problem because, oh no, it's in there. So, nice new clean cotter pin. What you didn't see me do, I already started cleaning the wheel well on the inside here. I want to finish it off by putting some underbody coating. That's that. Everything is tidied up. Now we can put the brakes back on. So I clean this with a tap. Just a normal stubby tap with some rust in there. That's a locating screw. Now you want to put just a little bit, a small amount on this edge over here. You don't want to smear all over that mating surface. It can cause the rotor to go on a bit wobbly if you have too much grease behind there, so it doesn't make contact all around the circumference. Be enough. Clean up my hands. Yeah, clean. This one on top, this is a locating screw. Then build that screw in. It's a stainless steel screw I used. I couldn't get normal steel ones. When you screw these two different materials together, it'd be steel in an aluminum casting, or in this case stainless steel in cast iron. You want to put some copper grease on there. It doesn't want to go in straight, I see. Hold up. Had some problems just before when I started cleaning this. Let's see. Oh, that's dumb. That's a threaded one. Scratch that. Okay, on it goes. What I want to do is make sure that the rotor sits flush with the mating surface. So just put on 2 nuts. Yeah, much better already. Now let's just see. Yeah, let's try to toss this in one piece. Here are the brake pads, the one with the sensor on it. Oops, my cable is a bit in the way. I just have to loosen this lower one. This lower bolt, and you can tilt the caliper forward. There's nothing attached to it at this moment. So this abutment clip came off. The abutment clips on the back are still in. Yes, they are. Now what I am going to do is put a little bit of copper grease on the pistons. You can see that's the amount I put on there. And that's on the fist part. Now let's get one of the pads. Just put a small amount of copper grease on this sliding surface. Little bit's enough. This is the amount that I put on so it can slide in the abutment clips. I realize that the lighting this video may be very poor, but I forgot to charge my work light. They are equal size. Okay folks, I ran into a very strange problem, namely that these parts, these sliding pads, are too wide for the abutment clips. Even when I take the abutment clip out, I can try to show you, film with one hand, it in. This just, you can see, just it barely fits, but when there's an abutment clip in place, it won't fit. So, I'm gonna research if these brake pads actually should fit on this car. So I have to call it a day for now. It's a bit of a bummer, but Okay folks, I got the brake pad mysteries solved. This set that came with the car, this is the upper one. Those are suitable for the models built in 1992, and those had smaller 15-inch rims and they had smaller brakes. No, that came from my car. I have 16-inch wheels and larger rotors and all, so that's why they don't fit. And you can tell these are a bit shorter, and these are suitable for a larger radius brake rotor. So I assume that someone ordered this for my LS400 in the past, but didn't realize there were 2 different sizes of brakes. And what I didn't do, well, you know,
Assumption is the mother of all screw-ups. I didn't check for size. I just assumed these were the correct ones. But you can see those sliding pads, they are slightly narrower, smaller I would say, but also in its entirety, put them on top of each other. Now I have these two aligned. You can see that the ones that came from the car are about 3-4 millimeters longer to compensate for the larger radius of the brake rotor. Problem solved anyway. Well, new rotor needs to come on, new brake shoes need to come on, the repainted and refurbished caliper need to come on, and I just have to clean up the wheel well. Ooh boy.
Well folks, I decided to park this episode here. Unfortunately we can't finish this brake job, which in fact is a very basic job, but I had the wrong parts. I ordered new parts and they came in today, but unfortunately those were the wrong brake pads. So I really wanted to finish filming this episode today so this video could get live on the planned date. So that is what it is, and as you may have seen, we have something fun in store for the next episode. Episode 20 is the, well, where the project is somewhat starting to fight me. I didn't expect to have that much rust in the rear wheel wells, but anyway, I've done that before, so I think I can handle this. One big pro of a larger car is that you have more room to work. Only thing I need to do is take the gas tank out so I have a safe environment to work in for grinding and welding and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, I hope you liked following me along during this episode. If you did, give me a like, maybe subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or any constructive feedback, well, leave a comment. For now, I would like to thank you for watching and hope to see you on the next one. Bye bye.